This is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, July 15th. From Sarasota, Florida, I'm Seth Johnson.
From Powell, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech Podcast, a podcast about all aspects of home automation, home technology, and down internet in Canada. I'm so glad you could join us, Gavin, because it didn't look like that was going to happen earlier this week.
I'm so glad to be here. You know, like you don't realize what you have until it's gone, and I really appreciate just having internet connectivity these days.
Yeah, crazy to think about, like such a big portion of the internet going out in like a country, just like disappearing for what, like up to 2 days that you lost it in different areas.
No, it wasn't that bad. Okay, it was only about 12, 15 hours. But the sad part is I had to go somewhere in Toronto and I couldn't even look up. I always use my Waze or something. I couldn't even look up where to go. I didn't know where to go. And I don't have a map in my car, like an old school map. So I had to go to my neighbor's house, get his map. You know, like we're so dependent on the internet now. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Like all the Apple and Android Auto stuff require you to kind of have. I think you can like pre-download stuff for Android, but like the Apple Maps require you to be connected most of the time to display
it
caches parts of it. Yeah.
Well, and Google Maps on iOS, you can download maps as well, because I do that. Mainly because I have a ton of storage on my phone, but I download certain sections of it, and at least I'm not without completely.
But I never think we're going to have a full-scale outage like that, so I never proactively decided to download all these maps. I didn't even know how to get to this place.
Yeah, that would be me. I'm not good with directions at all, so without Google Maps, I'm pretty much I would not be able to work or go anywhere.
Yeah, you stay home. That's it's like a national emergency. You don't want to go outside. There may as well be like nuclear fallout or something. Just stay indoors.
It's like a summer snow day.
Yeah, exactly. Summer snow day. Well, speaking of days, I'm glad you're back online because today is Prime Day. Yay, everybody! Yay, Prime Day! Happy Prime Day! The holiday, I guess. I don't know. Like this is the dumbest thing ever, but Amazon's garage sale day. This is what we'll call it. Have you guys found any deals on this thing or what? Any? Have you bought anything today?
I bought some stuff that I just wanted to buy and it was on sale because it happened to be Prime Day. So like little things like batteries or some Soda Stream refills, you know, might as well buy it when it's discounted. But, you know, here's a pro tip for shoppers. What I do is I use a service called Camel. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. But what you can do in Amazon is you can create a wish list, make it public, link it to Camel, set your thresholds. And what happens is when you want something, add it to your wish list. And when it hits that threshold, it sends you an email saying, hey, whatever it was you were looking for is now at this price. You go buy it now. It's an all-time low. And it graphs out the history so you know if it's an all-time low or, you know, how it relates or last time. So throughout the year, you notice if you follow things like that, I'll buy them at the lowest prices throughout the year. So when these sales come along, like Prime Day, I don't need anything.
Yeah, because a lot of times they have found like for Prime Day, ahead of time, everybody knows when it's coming up, like months in advance. Like they will start raising their prices very slowly, by a few cents, just to, boil the frog in the water. And then, right before Prime Day, this thing's really expensive. But then all of a sudden, Prime Day, it's, 45% off.
Yeah.
Because over the past 6 months, they've been raising the price, that much. So, yeah, Camel's good. I know there's like a plugin or something that you can use in your browser. Yeah.
I don't use the plugin. I just have it monitoring it, and when it comes up, it emails me. I had everything from like paper towels to toilet paper. So when it hits all-time low, I can just easily order it, and I know I got it at a good price.
Yeah, that's cool. I was a lucky person that bought a bunch of these things. Ooh. Look at this. Look at all these hard drives.
See?
I've got them just everywhere. Yeah. So, notice they're here. That means I didn't buy them today, and I didn't buy them the day that you posted like these awesome deals on. I bought them before all these awesome deals for hard drives came out. So I kind of wish that I had waited a little bit longer now because I don't think I can return them, but I'm going to use them. They're 6 terabyte drives. I think I got a decent price on them. I don't even know what it was. It's not as good as they've been now, but everything is always cheaper the day after you buy it, and that's the thing I tell myself. So, oh well, I'm not getting the 20 terabyte drives for like $200 or whatever they were.
Ah, such a good
ridiculous
deal.
price.
Yeah, I think it was like 16 terabytes for like $250 or $300 or something. A crazy low price.
No, it was like, I thought it was like 2 or 179. I don't know. I had a bunch of them in my cart, and I'm like, oh, choices on this. Like, what am I gonna do? I think I posted a picture of that in the hub. But I have a Synology that is getting low, and I have a bunch of 4 terabyte drives in it. So I just picked up 2 4 terabyte drives for that. And then I have a Synology that's empty that needs some drives. So I was going to pop these 6 in it. I'll see what the return policy is over at Newegg. But if I can get these back to them, maybe I'll pick up some of the other ones. 20 terabyte drives, ridiculous.
You know what? I always, 20 terabyte drives always look great, but the only reason I don't go that big is because when they die, it takes forever to rebuild 20 terabytes. And that's a nerve-wracking experience when that one drive's rebuilding and you're praying another one doesn't fail at that point, right? Because then you lose everything.
I could have had 4 20 terabyte drives for like $1,100 or something like, or it wasn't 20, it was like 14 or 16 terabytes. But like that's a lot of storage. It's a lot of storage, like triples what I have right now.
I'm at the expensive part with storage now, where I have to upgrade my parity drive whenever I upgrade to another big drive. So not only do I have to buy one $300 hard drive, but I have to buy 2 of them. So I'm looking at $500 to $1,000 to upgrade my drives at this point. I'm just not looking forward to it.
Just do it. Just tear off the Band-Aid. Do it.
Unfortunately, I've gone the Gavin route and I've started deleting things. So we got to meet in the middle somewhere. So
too good. Well, besides hard drives, I think there's been some like home automation stuff that's appeared on there. The the little robot vacuum cleaners have been pretty good.
The Eero 6E is a really good deal if you're looking for a new Wi-Fi system. I always recommend the Eero, but a 3-pack comes out to like $420, I think, so $140 each. Really good price for those. I picked up a pack.
Yeah, I went on here earlier and poked around, and I don't need anything. Like, I put a bunch of stuff in my cart, and I'm like, it's not even Prime Day stuff. I don't have any discounts on it at all. So lucky me.
It's always a sad feeling when you go to Prime Day and you're like, I don't need anything. You're like so ready to buy something, you just feel bad that you didn't get anything.
Yeah, all the Echo stuff is on sale right now. Even like the camera lenses and that stuff, I could potentially, but it's like I don't need it.
Here's a deal for you, Seth. Meta Portal 10-inch touchscreen, $35 on clearance from $179.
Is that a buy now?
Sweet, I'm buying that right now. That's it's gonna go straight to the museum. I guess.
There you go. It's not a bad deal for a museum piece. Cheaper than a Nexus Q.
Is it broken?
No, it's brand new.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, this ends in one day. Save 80%? Yeah. Yes, please.
That's right.
Why can't I add it to the cart?
Buy our discontinued item. Thank you.
I can't add it to the cart. This deal is exclusively for you, but it won't let me add it. That's weird. I'll figure it out later. No, just let me buy it. I don't want to buy it for... wait, the regular price is $35. So... Oh, there. I got that in. And no, thank you. I do not need the 2-year protection plan.
Ooh. Just doing some shopping live on the air.
Yeah, spending money. And while we're at it, feel free to sign up for Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. It goes pretty much directly to support the gathering list of small electronic devices that don't work anymore in my garage. Yeah, this is great. All right, guys. What do you say we do jump into some HomeTech headlines?
Let's do it.
Speaking of Prime Day, I noticed over on Amazon that Aqara had released their E1 curtain driver. The new E1 allows you to automate traditional curtains, connects via Zigbee 3.0, and features a battery life of up to 12 months. The curtain driver comes in 2 versions, a rod version for rod-type curtains, and a track version for U-rails and I-rails. If you have like 2 sets of curtains on either side of the window or whatever, You can pair them together where they can open and close simultaneously. So that's pretty cool. Integration supports HomeKit, which is kind of nice. Amazon Alexa, Google Home, Google Assistant, if this, then that. And also is going to support the upcoming Matter standard. The controller is also equipped with a built-in light sensor, which allows the curtain to open and close on its own when there's just automated lighting control. That's pretty cool. So if it gets dark outside, it'll close, I guess. It's available on Amazon. I only could, now for me, I did say a link for the Canadian Amazon store, but I didn't click it. But for me, it only said it was the US version. It was the track version only was available, and for $89. But of course, everything's on sale right now. This is on sale for $71. I think there's even some like further discounts. You can get it with like coupon codes. But $89 for a automated controller. And I'm assuming that the rail version is the same as the track version whenever that comes out. You click on the images on Amazon, the images don't change. So I'm assuming it looks to be the same product.
This looks like a very nice device. I mean, it looks like a professional looking device. It doesn't look like it's a cheap piece of plastic. I'm sure it feels like that. But it turns an existing, piece of thing that you have in your house into an automated portion of it. And I love simple little devices like this where you can reuse exactly what you already have and just add the smarts to it. And for $90 for a normal price, I don't think that's a bad deal compared to what normally like
a Somfy controller would cost you.
Yeah, or like anything at that point. Yeah,
not bad. Gavin, what do you think? Aqara is your brand, the love-hate brand that you have out there.
No, this has been getting a lot of great reviews. It checks all the right boxes when someone's looking at it, from all the various integrations. It's great. I mean, it's such a simple thing. Like, it's something that SwitchBot should have made, the way it's implemented. Oh, wait, this is exactly like SwitchBot. It's a knockoff.
Weird.
But it's a knockoff, yes, but it's got better integrations. So I can see myself grabbing this because I was looking for something like this, but I'll wait. I'm still waiting for Matter to come out to see how it's going to play in my home.
Yep. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on this one. It looks pretty cool. I don't even think I don't even have curtains like this. We have like slat blind type things on all our windows. So
I only have it in this room here, so it won't cost me a lot of money to just have it.
Wonder how loud it is.
Yeah, it wouldn't be useful for my situation, but I've been into a lot of places where this would work.
Yeah.
And at least it supports 3 different types of blinds, I guess. So you have a wide range of products it should work for. And
it's added to my cart.
You get to work here, so I may as well get it.
This is what we do live on the air. It's on sale for 20% off right now.
Happy Prime Day.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm going to add this to my cart too.
Well, speaking of integrations, today Home Assistant announced a new Works with Home Assistant program that will allow manufacturers to show their support and commitment to the Home Assistant and the Home Assistant automation platform and the community there. The program requires manufacturers to maintain the integration of their products in Home Assistant, offer good user experience, provide product samples, and give the Home Assistant team an engineering contact when they need to escalate issues if there's a problem. In return, manufacturers will be able to use the Works with Home Assistant badge on their products and in their documentation. And there's terms of this agreement that this program that'll be enforced with an agreement that'll be signed both by the manufacturer of whatever device is registering for this and Nabukasa, which is the kind of like the monthly, it's kind of like the organization that Paulus and a few others have gone into actual business with to further HomeKit and make it a commercial success. This looks pretty cool. I was looking on the little announcement that they had here, and there's tons of little badges that you can kind of like pick from, like works locally with Home Assistant, works with Zigbee with Home Assistant, works with the cloud, works through the cloud with Home Assistant. So it's like, even with the little badges, like they're getting granular. This is such like a nerdy way of doing this. Like, I love it.
I love this. I love that with the badge, it actually tells you how it's connecting to Home Assistant. So it answers that question. Like if I buy this device, it's telling me the communication protocol. It's using Zigbee to communicate with Home Assistant. So I know that's local. I love what they're doing here. And if you're a Home Assistant user and a product has this badge on their product, it only makes you want to buy that product because you know it's going to work. It's fully supported, and more people should be doing this.
Yeah, and honestly, out of all the home automation hubs that kind of exist right now, I think Home Assistant really has the best advantage in the fact that they're heavily developer supported and they're open source. So anybody can kind of develop anything for it. You can write your own drivers for it. It integrates with a ton of other things. So I think moving towards this, acceptance where it actually tells you what works with Home Assistant is another step towards, widespread adoption that maybe Home Assistant doesn't have right now, but it could have as they refine their software and kind of work on these devices that they work with.
Yeah. One thing I noticed at the bottom of this story is that they seem to have teamed up with the ESP Home crew over there. So products who have already been approved with the Made with ESP Home program. So like if you use that, I guess it's like a little framework that uses that ESP chip that everybody uses these days for home automation. If you use that, then you'll be eligible to use the works locally with Home Assistant badge as part of the Made with ESP Home membership. So there's some like collaboration. I love that there's like not only this like that Home Assistant has, but they've also they're collaborating with some of the other players in the kind of the DIY / open source / maker community as well to branch out and not just say, hey, this is a Home Assistant effort, but also if you've gone this route and you're in this Made with ESP Home ecosystem, you can be eligible for this badge as well. That's really cool.
Yeah, the more integration anybody does, the better off everybody is. If you buy some kind of smart plug, you kind of expect it to work with whatever you're using right now and in the future. And Home Assistant really does a great job of just literally supporting everything. I don't think I've ever ran across the device that wasn't supported by Home Assistant or somebody didn't have something written for it.
Yeah, whether it's official or not, somebody has done some kind of integration for Home Assistant for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's I love this idea. I wish them the best of luck with it because it's they're really ramping things up over there. Tons of integrations, like you said, TJ, and it's interesting to see what they've been able to do in such a short period of time. All the excitement and everything they've gained around that particular program. Excitement, and then also if you don't like it on Reddit, you get banned or something. That's how you probably got banned on Reddit. You just said Home Assistant doesn't work well, and then suddenly you're just banned. You're off of the forums.
Yeah, it is the most heavily talked about home automation platform on the home automation subreddit. And for good reason. A lot of people you can put it on whatever device you want. And like I said, it integrates with everything. So there's a good reason for it. But I think we've all talked about it before on the podcast, and it's just not our thing.
So I wonder how it's going to affect products that don't have this badge, though, with Home Assistant.
I don't think it would matter that much.
Right.
I think it's just going to be something that manufacturers say, hey, we work with this other program. Here you go. Kind of like, works with Google Assistant or works with Amazon Alexa kind of thing. And I don't know if Home Assistant is big enough for a lot of manufacturers to really care about displaying the badge. But if you're somebody like Innovelli or something where you're a smaller company or a lot of DIYers use it, maybe you are more willing to display that badge. So I don't know if we'll see TP-Link display it anytime soon, but I expect Innovelli and a couple other manufacturers like that to do it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on it, and hopefully we'll start seeing more manufacturers with that integration on there. Kind of show, I guess as a consumer, I would kind of look for something like that, especially that works locally with, Home Assistant, because that means that it's not just Home Assistant that you could possibly work locally with it. You could use something else because most, if not all of the stuff on Home Assistant's open source. So if you wanted to, you could probably just go over and read whatever they did in the Home Assistant plugin that makes it work and reverse engineer it for whatever platform you're running and get it up and going.
And that's a little confusing there because Zigbee and Z-Wave are also considered like local, right? So I hope people don't get a little confused by that, thinking that if it's not local, then they're going to assume it's cloud.
What do you mean? What, maybe that's why they made those different. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would think the manufacturer would kind of determine what they want to put on there. If it's all locally based, I don't know why
I'd
you'd
want the
want to
local one.
specify. Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to specify Z-Wave or Zigbee at that point, just locally. Because it's not like the common person's using Z-Wave and Zigbee. So
Yeah, because Matter, Zigbee, and Z-Wave and Bluetooth are all local, right? So the only one cloud is the one that says cloud.
Right. Maybe that it kind of indicates that it needs a dongle or something extra. Like there's an extra thing that you may have to plug in, because Home Assistant, they have their own little box thing that they're like their hardware that they're starting to sell, but they like you can run this thing on a NAS drive,
Yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily have a Zigbee dongle, and maybe you can plug it in and it works through USB that way, but like there's all sorts of different ways you can run this this software and get it up and going. So maybe that's why they need.
I'm gonna give Home Assistant a try again. I did before, but I'm gonna give it a try. I'm just waiting for it to settle down a bit. They've been going through a lot of changes lately, and I just want it to settle down a bit because I don't really want to be constantly having to update it and things breaking. And they seem to be going through a lot of updates right now. So once it settles down, I'm gonna visit Home Assistant again and see.
you got enough server space for it. You might as well.
I just need a better rack.
We'll get to that. I remember when Jason and I were sitting around, it's like, we should talk about the DIY landscape coming from the integrator's perspective. And we gave it a good shot. We went out and looked at a lot of things. We missed a couple here and there. But episode 105, way back in 2016, Home Assistant was just like barely on the market. Like it was all YAML configuration files and probably like what is that, Google not Matter, the Google
Thread.
no the like the look and feel of what they were, like the whatever framework you used,
Their
like
interface.
yeah, it was just like a generic interface. It had some nice graphs and stuff on it, but like you really had to get in there and edit text files in YAML, and it was just like setting it up. I was like, you've got to be a computer engineer to do this. And I said that, and people didn't like it. They had their rabid fans back then too. But yeah, I think they have definitely improved since then. There's still those rough edges that they're trying to polish off. And they're getting there. Things like this are going to help people know that name if they pick up the TP link or whatever, the light bulb, and it's got that Home Assistant sticker on there. Well, what the heck is this? And they go and research it. Maybe by that time they have a little plug and play gold box or whatever they're trying to sell now. Like maybe you can just plug that in and you're off to the races. So that will be, and honestly, that'll help them, right? Because these manufacturers will do the integrations. Home Assistant will be able to say, this is the box that you get to play in, and this is how this setup process works. It's kind of like how the works with Matter or works with Apple stuff goes. Like they have a specific flow to get the device working with the system so that it's uniform and kind of the same for anybody to walk in the door and use. This type of program is going to help them with that. So it's a good move all around, and they kind of needed to have it in place so there weren't so like many different ways to set up the same type of device that would just end up confusing people in the long run. So good on them. I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, and as we all know, like marketing to nerds is a little different than marketing to like the average consumer, right? Like nerds want that granular control and they want to be able to go in and configure every little thing. But most of the time, the average consumer just wants to go in and click a couple buttons and make everything work. And that's slowly where Home Assistant has been going to. They still have the kind of nerd controls that you can go in and kind of adjust everything. But now it's starting to get a little more click and drag, and you just configure everything right at the front end. You don't have to mess with a bunch of other stuff. So it's getting there. And I think, in a short amount of time, we'll probably see more consumer-based options for Home Assistant.
All right, well, let's move on here. We've got, speaking of nerds, model number nerds are really going to love this story. So URC is announcing a new certified integration with Apple TV. that brings Siri right into some of its Pro products. Systems with the MRX30 and the MRX15 will allow users to natively control the Apple TV 4K and Apple TV HD across URC's portfolio of interfaces, including tabletop controllers with 7 to 10-inch touchscreens, like the TDC 9100, yeah, the TDC 7100, in-wall controllers with 5 to 10-inch touchscreens, such as the TKP 9600, the TKP 8600, the TKP 7. This is just ridiculous. Like, they could have listed these some other way. And their ergonomic handheld control remote with 2.4-inch capacitive touchscreen. The TRC 1480 just rolls right off the tongue. With a press of the touchscreen or mic button, the TKP 8400 and the TRC 1480 will allow users to ask Siri right on the device what is playing on the Apple TV, search for shows and movies, check the score of the game, as well as do anything else that Siri does, like interact with HomeKit-enabled devices. Oh, well, I really like that URC puts out these press releases with all their model numbers and everything, but I think it's going to be written a little bit differently to explain and expand on, like, hey, this is really cool. This is like an Apple certified integration right on their products. Like, it's very rare that something like this exists in the industry. This is really cool. But it must only work with a couple of model numbers. I don't know why they had to list them all in their press release.
Just those ones. They have the good microphones.
I don't know. That's a strange company. But they've got decent enough products. I've used URC over the years, and their remotes used to be, I don't know, I haven't used them in probably 10 years now, but used to be built like tanks. Like, you just could not destroy those things. They're like cockroaches on the coffee table. Like, they just last forever. You can't kill them. They would not die. Like, your computer would not have the port required or the software required to program the stupid thing, and it would just be like, yeah, I'm working, but you can't change it for the new cable box. So, good product.
Yeah, I like that you can control HomeKit devices. You know, a lot of times when I think of these integrations with voice assistants or something like that, it's like you can ask them questions and do certain things, but I don't think of controlling like their home automation platform. So very cool to see that you can just use this product to basically just expand your home automation platform. Because I know URC integrates with, I think it's Z-Wave. They have a little like Z-Wave hub that plugs into it. And they also do like IP control. But I don't really think of URC as like a home automation company. I think of them more as like a home theater or like controlling TVs kind of thing. So this kind of expands that portfolio to allow them to integrate with more home automation devices.
I think this also comes on the heels. I want to say, like, a couple months ago, we talked about URC integrating with the Comcast API.
Comcast voice remote, I thought.
Yeah.
Or the voice assistant, whatever
so in my opinion, that's really what we need in this industry, is like these voice assistant integrations. Like, in the pro side, it's very embarrassing to be like, here's your $3,000 remote, and then they go, but this one lets me talk to it, and it came with the cable box. And then you say, but you can't use that one because this is your $3,000 remote that controls all the other equipment that's out of sight to turn on that cable box that you can talk to with the remote that came with it. And it's just embarrassing. It really is. Like, we really need to be working a lot more on these types of integrations where the voice control can be activated. And I realize, like, you're waiting on like Comcast to introduce a voice API or Apple to open up these certified integrations. So it may be a little bit more tough, but at the same time, major control companies, that start with control and end with 4, they don't even have a remote with a microphone on it, So this is like, it's not even an option. And they're one of the bigger players in the residential space right now. So I'm glad to see this. I just wish it was more widespread. Gavin, you're just going to sit there and let the Echo listen to you. And I mean, this is something that's not going to buy you a 70 or a 75-inch OLED TV, but
no. And I already got my TV, so I got to start talking about something else now. I just don't know what yet I want next.
Well, obviously racks.
Yeah.
I need a 22U server rack.
I need 42U. You just won't admit it.
40.
Just accept it.
Go big or go home.
Alexa, correction, 42U server rack. We'll see what the ads bring up for that, and hopefully it will be an ad on the wife's phone, and she'll want to go to Costco and look at server
What
racks
have you
for
been
some
looking
random
up?
reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be what you think it is.
Yeah. I know, it never is.
I think one of these remotes probably costs more than the TV you bought and the rack that you want to buy. So let's just.
You see, these remotes, these remotes are remotes that I probably couldn't even buy if I wanted to. You have to be a dealer for this, right? So It's not in our space at all. I'm still a big Harmony fan. I know a lot of people hate Harmony for whatever reason, but I haven't found anything out there in the DIY space that can compete with them. I've seen. There was a lot of
Sofa batons, like the only one, but they're not even real. So,
well, there was a lot of talk about them, and then people started getting them, and they started tearing it apart. It does not compare at all. There's so much more you could do with the Harmony that you can't do with those. So, it's just, I guess the market isn't there for somebody to really care about it enough.
Well, I was just talking to somebody about that today. These remotes are just, it's hard. It's harder and harder to justify having them when you do have Comcast cable boxes that are your input zero. They have Netflix, they have Hulu, everything's all built into the boxes. So you just use the voice remote and communicate with them. Or you have the TV that you just plug into the wall, and it's got, Samsung has its own TV channels on it, and you just watch live TV. So having the extra remote that you have to program and set up and work all the other stuff is almost not needed in like the more basic single room systems anymore. There are edge cases. I'll give you that. But like, for a lot of people, just the basics will work for them these days. It's gotten a lot better than it used to be, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think the only time I use some kind of universal remote or something like that is when there's like a home theater, mainly because you have several different devices going on. You have the projector, you have the screen, you have the receiver, blah, blah, blah. Everything else, though, you basically just do one remote for anymore. We're a big Roku proponent, and the Roku Ultra, you have the power button and volume button on there. So as long as you're not switching sources all the time, you could just use that for your remote and be done with it. So there's just not a lot of use for smart remotes anymore.
I've been using my Control 4 system and a video distribution system that is a ridiculous type of 4K video distribution system in my house that feeds a single Apple TV out to three televisions in the house. Like, it's the most ridiculous. I mean, I can switch over to and watch a DVD if I were to have a DVD to watch, but everything I watch is on that Apple TV, and we have one of them, and it just feeds out to the 3 TVs that are in the house. There's not much there. Like, I could walk away from that, put an Apple TV behind it, every TV in the house, and have essentially the same setup. The only thing I couldn't do would be like put, the game or whatever on 2 TVs and kind of have it playing in sync. But other than that, and that's really not a big use case here. Like, I don't think I would miss it very much if like I had to ditch the video distribution system and just go to using the Apple TV remotes with the TV. I don't think I'd miss it at all.
Yeah, most of the time you're not missing anything.
Anyway, let's move on here. We've got one for the graveyard. It's happened again. A manufacturer I've never heard of has announced that it will no longer be selling products that I've never heard of either. So it's a company called Hive, and it looks to be maybe more like a British or a UK company. I'm not sure. They are saying that they're not going to be selling the Hive View cameras, the Hive Home Shield, or the Hive Leak. The company says it plans to focus on making homes more energy efficient and cheaper to run. And by discontinuing these smart security and leak detection products, they'll be able to create the products they want to that will be able to help their users reach a net zero energy profile. Interesting announcement. Like, they're just kind of backing out of this security platform. It does look nice. They have given people ample notice. This isn't an Insteon, like, hey, your stuff's not going to work. It seems like some of this stuff is going to run. I've got a list here, and I don't want to go through all of it, but some of it goes through August 2025, September, what did I see, 2023. So yeah, in the next couple of years, you'll be able to still use some of these products, but eventually they're just not going to work anymore. And if there is a a service issue or you have to have something repaired after that date, it's not going to happen. Like you won't be able to buy the product. So, but interesting announcement and kind of a weird thing. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of Hive? Like, it wasn't the product I thought it was when I read it. And I'm like, I've never heard of this company before.
I think I heard of it once in talking, but I didn't pay attention to it. And, they're giving you a lot of heads up. 2025, they're giving you a lot of time. There's some stuff they're expiring this year, though, so you got to really read deep down into it if you're a Hive user. It just looks like they're changing direction. They're going in a different direction, and they just want to get out of whatever direction they were going before. Unfortunately, that's the way the industry's going.
Yeah, I mean, in the security realm, in like cameras, I mean, think of all the competitors they have that are able to make very inexpensive product. like like Amazon owns Ring, right? And Amazon owns the same servers that Hive is probably using to keep the store with their recorded video. So it's kind of like, it's almost unfair, right? But I don't know. It seems like there's people that are upset about this and they've put some money, and I get it. Like, if you put money into any ecosystem and it just kind of up and disappears on you, it can be very upsetting. So let's see, there's one user here on Twitter. It says, to have Hive Home UK create tons of e-waste, claiming this helps them battle the climate crisis, is some scummy behavior. Pounds invested in their ecosystem now worthless. Make the Hive View backend software open source or refund me the 1,134 pounds I spent on these cameras. And this guy's not happy. Not happy.
Yeah, that kind of brings up a good point. It's good that they've given people a lot of notice, but it does seem weird to, I guess, say this is a climate change issue, that the reason that they're doing this, and they're gonna just say you're gonna pivot. Don't say that you're doing it because of climate change or anything like that. Just say, hey, we're gonna stop doing this. Sucks to suck at that point. But to address it as, we're doing this to fight climate change while getting rid of all those devices does seem kind of weird to me. Yeah,
it is. I don't know if it's like disingenuous or what, but like, I don't know. They're pivoting. They're going in a different direction.
Just
they don't
say that.
Yeah. They don't want to compete with Ring and what is it, Blink? Not Blink is the lights, but like all of the other small.
Well, no, Blink does cameras as well. They
do. Okay.
Cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. And those, where are the other ones? We always talk about them. I have one around here. I don't see it. Wise. There it is.
Yeah. I was going to say, can't forget about Wise.
No.
I mean, I did.
The cheapest option. So.
Yeah. So why would you want to compete with that when you can potentially go a new direction and into energy, smart home energy savings, that kind of thing. So I get it. It's the website's kind of weird too. Like, it has the same quote in every FAQ on every product. Like it's like, it's really sad that we have to walk away from the, it's like, it's the same like copy paste thing. Like, just make the announcement once. You don't have to repeat yourself, but
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like a weird way to bring it up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, the action itself is good. They've given people plenty of time. It's just weird how they brought it up. So,
yeah. Well, I've never heard of them anyway, so it doesn't matter. But they're not going to end up in the graveyards. I've never heard of this company. I thought it was honestly, when I read the story, I was like, oh no, Hive. I thought it was the Beehive thing, the little smart sprinkler thing that I got from Home Depot for like $20 or whatever. No. They're still working, still humming along. So good deal.
According to this article too, Hive stopped selling, or at least with the Hive website, they stopped selling in the US and Canada in 2019. So it's been quite a while that we haven't been able to access their devices.
Never heard of them. All right. Well, let's move on here. Gavin really wants a rack, and we've been trying to sell him on big racks. But Gavin wants a small, little bitty rack where he can only put in like 3 pieces of equipment, and he just doesn't get it. So guys, if you're listening, you just email us, feedback@HomeTech.fm. Tell Gavin he needs the big rack. He's got to go big. He's got to get the server rack, the 72-inch tall, 72U. Like, it's got to be 8 feet tall, scrape the ceiling coming in the door. That's the rack you need, Gavin.
I was trying to talk him into like a 15U. I was being conservative. I was like, 15U rack, that's good enough to put a lot of equipment in. And then Gavin has to come in and be like, no, I got like 2 computers, I got a battery backup, I got a monitor and a keyboard and blah 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 blah. Why do you have so many devices, Gavin? Slim down your devices or just buy a big rack. That's what your choices are.
Okay, first of all, I like big racks. I cannot lie.
This is supposed to be a family-friendly conversation.
We're talking about racks here. I like
electronics enclosure, as I call them.
When I first started my rack journey, you guys gave me a whole bunch of things to get. Get an enclosed rack, get rack with lights, get rack with this, with fans. Then I started seeing the price, and it started. My expectations, reality kicked in, and now I'm at the 4-post open rack. With barely any metal on it, and then even that, I'm like, do I go a big one? Nope, let's cut it in half to cut back price, because I'm going to have to buy a shelf here. I'm going to have to buy this. I'm going to have to buy that. And I'm back up into $1,000, there's, these racks aren't cheap. It's just ridiculous for 4 pieces of metal. Actually, probably a bit more, but it's getting expensive up there. So I'm looking for a rack. I see a whole bunch. And one thing I want to point out, if you're going to come with recommendations, remember, I'm in Canada. So when you come with $100 rack that you found on a US site, that is not $100 in Canada. When I start searching in Canada, it's starting at $400. And then there's the other issue. I find a nice rack and it's not deep enough. You got to have the right depth, So what do you guys recommend for depth? Like 30-inch, 20-inch?
I think like 19-inch is usually deep enough, but it depends on what servers you got going on, because you got all kinds of crazy servers.
Yeah, well, it's just a computer. It's not a crazy server. It's just a regular computer. It's not that deep.
Oh, they're crazy.
Yeah. So I need a nice size rack that's deep enough to hold, all my equipment.
I mean, I think that the server cases I have are like 24 inches deep. They're maybe bigger than that. The rails can. I'm not even sure. I was trying to see how. I think this rack is at least 3 feet deep. But this is a crazy big IT rack type thing. I'm happy with it because I found a place for it. I kind of wish it was smaller. But if I had gotten the smaller one, I wouldn't have been able to fit the server cases in them. So you're really going to be limited on. So you want to have room for the case. And here's the deal: there's wires that come off of that and go other places.
Ooh, that's what people always forget about.
The wires. So if you have a 16-inch rack and you're like, oh, this is fine, but your equipment is 18 inches deep, it's going to stick out the back and it's going to look like it puked wire. Just all the time. It's so if you get you get the one that's bigger than the equipment. You've got extra room to put all your wire, because that's just that's what it's gonna look like. It's what it looks like over here. I'm not gonna lie. The pauper, what is it? The cobbler's son has no shoes. There's no wire management in my rack here. I mean, I tried, but that was a while back, and I had to redo things. So it's, it is what it is. But you're going to run into that too. You got to have the wire. You got to have the power management. You got to run all the power to a UPS or some kind of switching thing that has all the all those switches on it to turn individual pieces of gear off when you need to move them out of the way. So yeah, zip ties got attached to something.
Just throw it in a pile. Why do you need a rack? Just throw it all into a pile in the closet. Close the door. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, if I don't see it, that's fine. As long as it's behind a door, nobody can see it. No one will.
Just tell your wife not to open the door.
Yeah.
Don't go in there.
That will work. Greg pointed out that he built his rack out of 2x4s. And you know what? To be honest, I'm thinking about going, after seeing these prices, I was thinking about that. So TJ shared links to Reddit threads about lac racks.
Yeah.
Where they took IKEA tables, the lac IKEA tables. And apparently someone discovered they were perfect for equipment. They are the perfect width. And people have made websites dedicated to making server racks out of these lac tables. So, I mean, at this point, I'm almost tempted to go down that route.
And that's 8U for $20 or $30, Gavin. You get 2 or 3 of those, stack them up together. I mean, what else do you need?
It's got a top shelf on it too, so I can put the monitor there. I don't have to pay extra for that. It's sounding really good.
One of these pictures has some casters on it. You could throw some wheels on it too, and just roll it wherever you need to go. If you get fancy with it, actually too, they build 3D printer enclosures out of them as well. So you could throw a 3D printer in there, print you up some new parts for your computer. You're all good to go.
Stop trying to spend my money. Every week you're convincing me to buy. So how much for a 3D printer? No, I don't want one. No, I don't need one.
They're only $200 or $300 US, Gavin. So they can't be that much there.
No. No, I don't need one.
I say go big or go. I mean, go big or go home. Like I put a little server rack, locking cabinet, network rack, cabinet enclosure, 42U rack mount, 32-inch deep server cabinet dash on wheels dash self dash cooling fan dash thermostat dash sys racks dash SRF. I mean that's $939 American, so it's probably like
US.
yeah. It's probably $1,500.
It's got a little display at the top and everything.
Yeah, no, this one does too. Those fans are loud. It's not the quiet fans. They're like 120 volt, like all the ways on, super loud. Yeah, I don't even have mine running, but I have the same brand. I got it on Newegg, I think, for a lot cheaper. But yeah, that's the way to go. I mean, it's gonna give you your options. You're not gonna regret this purchase, like a lack rack, when you're like, oh,
I will. You know what? This would be a great purchase, and I will regret it probably 30 days after I buy it because that's when the Visa card comes in.
Yeah, probably.
Right? You just. I'm looking like seriously. I'm like about 200-300 range. And you guys are throwing me into the 1,500 Canadian range.
Yeah,
you know,
see,
like
you can't be $200 or $300 and have that many use.
Well, IKEA rack. I might have to go with the IKEA rack. You know, make a lack rack, and you know.
Yeah, you'd only be like $100 in for like 24.
Yeah, look at that. You know, like I'll probably pimp it out with lights and everything too. Who knows?
And if one of your servers catches on fire, it'll just burn everything down quicker because it's already got wood right
in the
there
lack
for
rack.
you.
Yep.
Perfect. Then you'll have to invest in one of those little fireball things they put above 3D printers, so that way when it catches on fire, it just douses the whole area.
Maybe I'll buy a 3D printer and print out a rack.
There you go.
You know how much that costs me.
I don't know if you could print off a rack necessarily, but I've seen people print out computer cases. So
yeah, I've seen them do
that would be possible.
Rack mounts for equipment and that kind of thing for sure.
Yep.
So I'll have everything printed out in about 2 years' time. At the, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's why you need like 5 printers.
It's getting expensive. You guys.
That's how you easily add many printers. You're like, man, I wish this would go a lot faster. I wish this one would go a lot faster.
If you need a table for that 3D printer, IKEA actually makes a lack table that's actually pretty nice. You can put the 3D printer on top of the lack table and then assign your 8 slots underneath that for your rack. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to say this. I don't regret buying this giant rack that I have here. It was a mistake. I should not have bought the deep one. I really should have gotten the smaller one. Because then I could have tucked it over into a corner a lot easier. But yeah, it's very deep, and there's only so many places it can go, and it's tall too. It's a decent height, probably 40 inches high. Yeah, probably 48 inches high. So I'm going to eventually like tuck it over into the corner in this garage, but that's a work in progress. It's going to take some time before I'm able to do that because it's large.
Well, maybe next week I'll have an update on it. We'll see. I started the first phase. I put in a little patch panel on the wall so I can get the cables to my future rack. Right. So maybe next week I'll have an update and see. I'm just searching around. I've been going on Kijiji looking around, but they're all so expensive. Like I did not expect it to be this much. And then I go on like Craigslist in the US in Tampa Bay, Florida, and they have like a full computer rack for $75.
Yeah, that's what you got to wait for. You got to. Yeah, we were sending you those because those exist. Like, but that's an absurd. That's like a 8-foot tall rack that is going to be 48 inches deep with side panels and probably weigh like 3,000 pounds. Yeah, I don't know if I could get away with that one here. That's that's absurd.
Even with shipping to Canada, it'll probably come out cheaper than when I buy new.
Yeah. All right, since we're shopping tonight, I'm going to go to Newegg and figure out and log in.
Oh, jeez. After the show.
What's funny is that Sysrack, it's shipped from Canada for free, and it was like 20 boxes that weighed 3,000 pounds. They just left them out on my driveway, leaning up against my garage one day. And I guess it's fine, but it wasn't that much that I paid for it, I don't think.
So on Newegg, I'm seeing some racks, but they're all open frame racks and about $300 range. It's all right. Adjustable 25 U's, So I'm going to have to take a look, see what they have. I just want to clean up my server area. You know, I have 2 computers, a bunch of stuff, and I just want to clean it up, make it more presentable than what it is now. Because every time wife walks down into the basement, she shakes her head. I can hear her sigh from 2 floors up, you know, and that's never a good thing.
Well, then what you need to, for sure, what you need to do is get a real server rack, put real servers in it. They'll be so loud you won't even be able to hear her sigh.
She doesn't sigh that loud. Like,
and put it next to your computer. That way you can't hear anything at all.
Oh man, I guess they're not selling the particular item I purchased anymore, but it was the 22U 39-inch deep. There's my problem. 19-inch IT rack from SysRack, and it's nice. It looks just like the one I linked there in the hub. It had a bunch of features that I like. It has the side panels you can take off. You can close things up. It's in it completely enclosed thing. It's got brushed like entry and exit points, so you can run wires through it without dust getting in. So for the most part, happy with it. Just probably should not have gotten the 39-inch deep rack. I should have probably gone with the 22-inch deep or whatever the smaller version was. Whoops. But here it is. So anyway, good luck, Gavin. We hope you find a rack that you can love, and you won't hear those sighs, those deep disappointments coming from downstairs anymore.
We'll help you spend money anytime we can.
Yeah, we're trying, man.
It's getting expensive hanging out with you guys.
we gotta start shopping Canadian websites, so that way we can get you better.
At least that would make things easier. If you guys sent me Canadian links, because then at least you know what I have to deal with up here, right? Like, we don't have the same selections you have. I shopped once by accident. I think it was Walmart, the U.S. Walmart, and they had everything. You know, Canadian Walmart can't even compare.
Your Walmarts don't have racks in them. Our Walmarts have racks.
Oh, I remember one of my favorite sites was People of Walmart. I don't know if that was a Reddit forum or
I'm
something.
sure it's still around.
It's still around.
You guys have some interesting Walmarts.
Oh, yes, we do. We do.
I think I was impressed. We went up to like Canada. I think we were there for like a Saturday or something like that, and we went to Walmart. And it was the quietest Walmart I've ever been in my life. And it looked like everybody was dressed up relatively nice. It was complete opposite of Walmart in America. As soon as you walk into Walmart in America, it's like there's so much noise going on. There's people yelling. There's people shouting. And everybody looks like they're homeless. So polar opposite for your Walmart up there. Maybe that's why you pay more.
Yep.
I think you were on the set of that Canadian, like, what is it, Superstore or something? That Canadian show?
Superstore, yep.
Yeah, I think you actually just walked on set by accident.
That could be.
That's like the Walmart analog, but it's not, like, Walmart here is mostly a warehouse, because every time I go in there, like, they just have pallets of stuff just in the aisles that you have to navigate around. And nothing really on the shelves. Like, it's there in the pallets if you want to pick out, you know, what's in, it's coming in. But whenever they get over to it, but it's been that way for years. Like, you can't say labor shortage is doing that.
It's like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah,
That's nice.
Yeah. It's like
self-checkout and scavenger hunt. Here's
our pallets that we didn't want to store in the back or put out on the shelves, and we got to check on the shelves too. So check it out. I don't know. Good luck, Gavin. maybe you'll find something next week, or maybe somebody will ship you something off Craigslist, and we'll have.
Just remember, the rack is only one small expense. Everything else is way more expensive.
Way more expensive, yeah.
By the time you add the shelving and the brush plates and the panels, and
you'll learn the reason the word accessories like exists. Like, I used to put allowances on my quotes for like racks and rack parts, and oh my gosh, the accessories and everything. Like, if you wanted to finish them off and make them look sweet and just like photo perfect, the amount of accessories, the like custom cut rack plates and everything.
Oh my gosh, that's the most obnoxious one. Custom cut rack plates are like so crazy to me.
Yeah.
Just put it on a shelf. Nobody cares. Nobody wants their modem with a custom $500 metal plate.
But
Stop.
It's so pretty. It's so pretty.
Greg's got shelves for me, so that'll save some costs. You know, I appreciate it, Greg.
Nice.
I appreciate it.
That is.
Yeah, that
is.
Okay, so now I just gotta get the rack.
And you need the rack screws, then you need laser bars to keep everything put up, and then you'll need some type of, you got
the brush plates too.
Yeah, brush plates. You want the brush plates for sure. I've got brush plates laying around.
I just want something to put my
If you need one, I
computers
can
in.
send you one.
That's it. Doesn't have to be
Just
that
throw it on a
pretty.
pile then. I don't know why you need a rack.
I just want to mount it.
Stack them.
Yeah, stack them.
Rack.
Oh man. Well, all right. Let's move on here. All the links and topics we've discussed tonight can be found on our show notes over at HomeTech.fm/395. Got a pick of the week. Of course, it's the only pick of the week that can be the pick of the week this week. Is the pick of the millennia. I don't know. This is the most amazing thing. The James Webb Telescope went up the end of the year, and it was going to take a couple months to get everything unfolded and lined up, and they were worried that it wasn't going to go right because it's a $1 billion project, or more than $1 billion project. Gets up there, finally gets all the mirrors in alignment, takes a picture, and it is absolutely stunning and amazing. The resolution and everything that we're seeing, like way back in time with this thing. How can this not be the pick of the week? Like, this is, as far as technology goes, this tops and trumps everything as far as I'm concerned. And it continues to take pictures. It's been taking pictures for a while, but they take time to process and download. And so like we even have like newer photos that have come out since the one that came out, I think, Monday. Today they're dropping more on us, and it's just incredible what we're seeing from this thing. And the Hubble was like crazy good, and now this thing is just above and beyond. It's wild.
Yeah, it looks like something out of like a sci-fi movie or something. It just does not look like a real picture at all.
Yeah, and those. Go ahead.
The amazing part about these pictures is they're actually pictures from 4.6 billion years ago. Like the light that left, like we're looking in the past right now. You think they have matter yet?
Nope. That's funny.
It's still analog.
There's antimatter is what they came up with. So the first one they took a picture of actually has they're taking a picture through a gravitational field that acts as like a giant magnifying glass or lens that shows some of the light that's from behind it. And if you look at it, it's got like these streaks on it. And those are actually galaxies that are even further away. So those are like 13 billion years ago. It's those lights, and they're moving faster away from us than we're ever going to see them again. But like this is just crazy. This stuff is wild. This telescope, this instrument, all the data it's going to take years and years and years for them to like get through and process all this stuff. And we're going to have a lot more science out of it over the next 2 or 3 decades. I mean, how long has Hubble been up there? Hubble's been up there like forever. I remember like them having to go up and repair one of the lens because like one of the focusing functions or something structures got messed up and during delivery, and they had to go up there and adjust something and get up there and repair it. I remember watching that live on TV. But yeah, this is great. I'm glad to see this. This project has been following for a long time, so I'm glad to see that they were actually able to get it up and working. The next fun ones are going to be the Tesla rockets that keep exploding, and the SLS, which is the big NASA rocket that's supposed to go to the moon. Supposedly that's launching over here. What's cool about living in Florida, TJ, you know this, like you can just drive. And sometimes you're just driving down the road and you'll just see a rocket going up into the sky. And you're like, wait, that's a rocket. And you could just drive like across the state and sit there and watch them. Like it's like a thing to do. People go over and put up chairs and tents and wait for the rocket to launch. Yeah,
especially in central Florida and Orlando there. A lot of people would set up on like parking garages at like UCF and stuff like that and just watch them whenever they happen. So you can get a pretty good shot of them depending on where you are.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, Gavin. No rockets in Canada yet.
If we see if we see a rocket flying over top, I'm not pulling out a chair and sitting there watching it, or maybe if it's headed south, because then I know where it's going, right? But I'll turn on CNN just to see where it's coming down.
Yeah. That's you just need to check the Weather Channel to see where the winds are blowing from the fallout.
Yeah.
But
No rockets up here.
it's probably a bad thing. Yeah. So cool pictures. Good to see. I'm happy to see this up and going finally. It's been like pins and needles waiting for these images to get released. So I'm glad they're finally here, and we're gonna get new pictures. I don't know. I think they were like taking them all the time, and we've got like days or months of pictures that will be released like one at a time from this thing for years probably. I mean, there's probably this thing's up there taking photos all the time and doing science all the time. So we're going to get even more stunning pictures, I'm sure, as more discoveries are made in the future. So can't wait. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the weeks, or billion-dollar telescopes you'd like to launch into space, give us a shout. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm. You can visit HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right, guys, wraps up another week. Any big plans? Any big projects coming up?
Obviously, you guys are making me spend money on a new rack. So
Besides the rack, yeah.
Well, this week I actually did a few projects. I upgraded my server, my Unraid server. So I put a new chip in there. So now I have more cores, 12 cores. So if you're big on Unraid, more cores is better. Trust me, there's so much you can do.
Yes.
I also have done phase 2 of my get rid of Show Me devices in my house. So I was a big Show Me person, but I was also stubborn about it. They drop off every now and then, like every 6 months, everything drops off, and then you got to go around doing the song and dance again. So I've been slowly just replacing them with Zeus, and I've been happy. So I only have about 8 more sensors to go. It's a slow process. I buy them whenever there's like a 4th of July sale or some American holiday always triggers our sales. So I wait for the American holidays and I'll buy a few.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a lot of little projects around the house, but I'm hoping next week I'll have a rack update.
TJ, what about you? Got anything big planned?
No personal projects. We're wrapping up a 19 camera job this week, hopefully. Waiting on a license plate camera at the moment. Hopefully it'll be on tomorrow. But we got 19 of the Turing cameras coming in. They offer facial and vehicle detection. And today you can search by top hat. So that's always a good bonus as well. There's actually a setting on there. You can search by hats, but the hat looks like a top hat. So I'm just going to call it the top hat feature.
It does look like a top hat. The interfaces looks really nice to this. And I like how they have... they've gone above and beyond on some of the things here. Like you can search for different colors of cars and that kind of thing. I thought that's a pretty good idea. And
it's pretty cool because you can like tag people or tag vehicles. And also if you have multiple sites, you can get notified if they go to that different site as well. So if, it tags somebody's face and you're like, hey, that person shouldn't be here, and they go to a different location, it'll actually send you an email or something as well. So it's kind of cool depending on how many cameras and how many sites you have. And you can also follow that person around. So if that person walked, from the front of the building to the back of the building, and you search for that person's face or whatever feature, it'll show exactly where they went to and everything as well.
And you're not breaking any laws with that down there?
Not in the state of Ohio, actually. But in Illinois and California, you have to get waivers or it's just not legal at all. So depending on where you are in the states, it might not be legal.
Yeah, I mean, this may be mandatory in Florida for too long. Who knows?
That's right.
They want this kind of stuff. It's actually really cool. I'm always shocked. Like I loaded up a bunch of photos. I have what we call the black hole camera. It's like the fancy camera I go in and take pictures at family events and that kind of thing. And everybody calls it a black hole camera because they never see the pictures that come off of it. But I went and did a bunch of processing on that. For a couple of events that we had, and we're like, Adobe has in Lightroom the ability to kind of tag people, and this is done on your phones too. Like you can check off like who this person is. But I'm always shocked to see like how many few pixels can recognize a person's face. Like I'm taking a picture with a 24 megapixel camera or whatever. I don't know what it is. Like it takes a big picture, but if you zoom way in the background, there's this person smiling and talking to somebody, and it picked them up and tagged them in the photo based on just like some shadows. And if it didn't suggest that was this person, I probably would be like, I don't know who that is. but the computer figured out who it was based on a few pixels worth of information, which is kind of interesting, kind of scary. And Gavin, I know we talked about the double stack last month or last week, and yeah, how that one, like, you're basically feeding in a low resolution thing to that, right? And it's taking that low resolution, so it's kind of the same thing. It's just taking a few pixels in, determining what it is, and is it a car? Is it a dog taking a poop on the lawn? And it's turning back those events into Blue Iris. There, this is the same thing. And TJ, this is the pro version of it. Like, it doesn't need much to information, I guess, to make this happen. And then you get overlaid on top of that, you get the 4K, like, beautiful pictures coming off the camera. So it's really nice. Looks really good.
Yeah, and it's pretty accurate too, given everything. Like one of the vehicles that tagged as a SUV was actually a van. But I would say it's, 80 to 85% accurate. I haven't got too many false positives or misinformation off of it. So it's just crazy how far we've come with this type of technology, especially facial recognition.
Yeah. I see, like, there's searches on here, like, for the color of the shirts or the pants. You can search for that, and if they had a hat or not, a top hat or not.
This sounds like a police surveillance, like, software. It's like, you just feed in your suspect details and it's going to pull up all the pictures it needs.
You can do that. You can actually upload a photo as well and look for it. So
yeah, that's crazy. That's really wild. How like the setup on this, do you, like, I know these cameras that they're using are probably, I think we talked about them, the UniView cameras that they use or rebrand or whatever. Like, do you have to go into those cameras and set up the analytics there, or is it done through their interface separately? Like, can you draw, like, lines, like barrier lines where they cross back and forth and do counting like that?
Yeah, so there's basically two different, let me open it up here. There's two different detections you can do, either an entrance or an intrusion. And basically, if you've ever done, like, the motion areas on any camera, like Ring or Hikvision or whatever, it's basically the same thing. You're just drawing out a specific area of the screen that you want to get notified or have those alerts come up for. So it's very, like, I would say rudimentary for what you're getting out of it. For all the cameras, I literally just put 4 points on there and highlight the whole screen, so that it finds everything within the screen and tags it. So I wouldn't say there's much setup to it compared to some other stuff.
Oh, okay.
You basically just put the 4 dots in there to create your square, and that's it.
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, when you're setting the system up, you're basically plugging the cameras in, and you're not doing, like, you're not tweaking the settings or having to do individual analytic settings on each camera. That's all done through this, like, aggregated interface that we're seeing here with the like.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I mean, all these cameras have APIs that they are probably converting what you're typing in here, or, clicking on here and converting it to the camera. So that's really neat. Really neat.
And there's a special little, like, what I would call an Intel NUC, one of those small little computers. And that's basically the brain box of everything. And then you still have your NVR and then the cameras itself.
That's running the deep
little
state.
Brain box is, that's the deep state or double stuff, whatever you want to call it. That's doing everything in the background. So
yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I like it. I've seen, like, smaller, like, screenshots you've posted in the past of the interface, but you in the hub earlier today, it's kind of what we're referencing. You posted some of the interface and, like, especially the top hat search. And that's really cool. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot cleaner of interface than you normally get to work with on camera systems. So.
Yeah, and especially if you've ever, like, looked through a lot of cameras on any system to try to find footage, it's always so painful, right? Like, you can, even if you know exactly what time something happened, it's always so annoying to find that footage still. And this kind of just makes that easier, because a lot of people just want that quick little clip, so they can see exactly what happened, but you can still pull up the full footage from the same interface as well. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Very cool. Very cool. Keep us updated on that. And when you get, what did you say was coming in, the license plate camera? I'm guessing you're going to do, like, you're not only going to like tag suspects for Gavin and, see if he shows up, but you can get his license plate too when he comes down and tries to rob this place. Is that what's going on? Like,
that's right. We're going to find you.
It's not hard to find me.
Yeah. It's a 2 megapixel motorized zoom camera. So it's specifically for license plate. It'll hopefully be in tomorrow, I think, for installation this week. So that'll finish up that project, and then we'll get some actual real life, usage out of it.
What are they going to do with the license? Like, are they just collecting license plates of people driving in and out? Is that what the idea is?
No, I think it's mainly just if like something happens, they're automatically going to get that license plate, so you can report it to the police or whatever. Most of the, a lot of times people are just using cameras like this just for if something happens. They're not actively monitoring it all the time. So it's a very big automotive shop. If somebody were to break in and steal the tools or something, most people are not going to cover their license plate or other stuff on their vehicles. So
yeah, that could be helpful. We at our old shop where the AV business went 15, 20 years ago now, it was broken into, or some of the trucks were broken into, and the guys, pulled up. Of course we had, a video of the guys pulling up in the truck, breaking up in the back window and just driving off. But the way it was situated, the police came out and they're like, they probably, robbed this place, hopped on the highway, and they're, across the state by now. Like, we don't know who this is. But that would be nice. Now we're seeing like around here, these like little small, like on pole, they're on a pole and they're like this big. They're probably the size of a little bit bigger than a Ring camera. They got a solar panel mounted on top, and they're very inconspicuous. Like you wouldn't know they were there unless you actually looked for them. They're very hard to see, but they're 24/7 license plate cameras, and you'll see them around like in the medians. They just sink a pole there, turn them on, and anybody driving past them has their license plate logged. The company that does this, I can't remember the name of it right off my head, but like they actually match the license plates with the FBI's database. So if a car goes by, it immediately tells the local authorities that they went through. And it's amazing that like it's the way they run. It's like $2,400 a year or something for the camera service. Like it's a service. Like it's not hardware. You're just basically leasing this thing, and they're getting tons of data off of all these little cameras, cheap little cameras they're putting out. But yeah, you have no privacy in the States, so Gavin's like, I'm just gonna go talk to Alexa about this.
All I think is causing crime these days. It's just too much work. Yeah. That's the only reason why I don't do illegal stuff. It's just too much work now. There's too much surveillance,
That's why everybody moved to crypto.
The dark web.
The dark web. Oh my God. We'll put a link to that in the show notes too. Anybody can help this lady get on the dark web. All right. Oh wow. We want to give you a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about our Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every pledge gets you an invite to our private Slack chat, The Hub, where you and other members and supporters of the show can gather and look at TJ's van decals. That's a funny one. I think I've seen that one before. It says "Freak in the Sheets" and it has the Excel logo on it. So great job. If you want to help out the show but can't support financially, totally understand. We just appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or a positive rating in your podcast app of your choice. That wraps up another week in Home Tech. From everyone here, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Take care.